What is up, guys? So this year's crossover, better known as Crisis on Earth X, could have been a little better. It wasn't bad, it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as Invasion, in my opinion, and it just could have been a little better. And that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. I'm going to be going over the top 5 things I would change about Crisis on Earth X. Keep in mind, I'm not going to be making any drastic changes to the crossover by like killing one character instead of another, or making Earth 1 and Earth 38 combined, which is something I would have loved to happen, but I'm not going to include those things because I only want to change certain things without completely changing the crossover, which, like, I could just literally say anything, so I'm just going to keep the thing contained into the realm of possibility in the crossover. So with that in mind, let's go through the top 5 things I would change about Crisis on Earth X, starting with number 5.
Oliver, I don't want to marry you.
Number 5 is I would put in a lot less drama. And when I say less drama, I mean probably no drama at all, and I don't include the wedding. I don't want any drama because the crossovers are a chance for people who don't watch any of the shows and only watch the crossovers to become invested in the characters and the storylines and the whole universe in general. But when the crossover is chocked full with terrible, unnecessary drama, people would see that and think that's why I stopped watching Arrow, or that's why I stopped watching The Flash, because the shows have way too much drama, and most of the time the drama is unnecessary and just outright terrible. The wedding doesn't count because it was necessary to bring all the heroes into one place, and there wasn't really any drama because, I mean, they're getting married. There's no drama involved in that. It's just romance, which is fine, but drama, the real unbearable drama, was Olicity. Surprise, surprise. Throughout the crossover, there was this whole thing where Oliver wanted to marry Felicity, but Felicity didn't want to marry him. And she even screamed that, "I don't want to marry you," during the pre-wedding party, totally embarrassing Oliver, which was stupid. But at the end, she just totally changes her mind, says, "Yeah, I want to marry you. Forget everything I did in the last 4 episodes. Forget everything where I embarrassed you in front of everyone. That was just because I want to be the center of attention." But looking at all that, what was the point of all the drama if she was just going to change her mind at the end? What was the point? And on top of the fact that there was literally no point, it was unbearable. Just throughout, it was unbearable drama. And that's why I think the crossover should have less drama, or maybe even no drama at all.
Yes, like Icarus, I flew too close to the sun.
We can save her. We're going to save her. All we need is a new heart.
Number 4 is make the Earth X doppelganger villains less sympathetic. Namely, Dark Arrow and Overgirl. They were way too sympathetic. Overgirl was dying and Dark Arrow was married to her, which made me kinda sympathize with them when I really don't want to, because they are Nazis. They should be pure evil, and both Overgirl and Dark Arrow were not pure evil. Not even close. Overgirl just wanted to live. I'm pretty sure her main motivation is that she didn't want to die. And Dark Arrow's main motivation is that he just wanted to save his wife's life. Those aren't evil intentions. Sure, the way they went about it was obviously pretty messed up and evil, but their intentions were, although selfish, still understandable. And I get the fact that they needed to give them a reason to come to Earth 1 to get Supergirl and take her heart. But first of all, wouldn't they go to Earth 38? Maybe I missed something, but they should probably go to Earth 38 because there's no Supergirl on Earth 1 most of the time. But I think, second of all, is that they could have just made it so that the Nazis took over the world on Earth X and weren't happy with that, so they wanted to take over the multiverse, starting with Earth 1. That would have been 100% believable and would have given the Nazis pure evil intentions, which is what they should have, because they're Nazis. But instead, they made them super sympathetic by making one of them just want to live and one of them want to save his wife, which by the end, when they died, I didn't feel like it was a huge victory for the heroes because, I mean, they weren't evil. They were barely evil, for Nazis at least. Number 3 is add Superman and Martian Manhunter to the crossover. Superman not being in the crossover, I kinda understand, because having 2 Kryptonians would be too overpowered. And also, Superman is a minor character in the Arrowverse, which just shouldn't be true, but it is. But despite this, it would have been so awesome if he showed up, so I understand it a little bit, but it would have been great. So while that I understand, Martian Manhunter I do not get. Martian Manhunter, unlike Superman, is not a minor character in the Arrowverse. He's not a main character. He's not like one of the main 4 characters. But he is one of the main characters on Supergirl. So other than budget, which, I mean, because of the budget, he couldn't have been Martian Manhunter the whole time, which he doesn't need to be. He could have been Martian Manhunter for like 4 or 5 minutes in total, which is like what he does on Supergirl, and then be John Jones the rest of the time. So other than budget, I just don't get why Martian Manhunter wasn't included in the crossover outside of a small cameo. The worst thing about all of this is that out of all the Supergirl characters, outside of Supergirl herself, obviously, Superman didn't go to Earth 1, Martian Manhunter didn't go to Earth 1, hell, not even Guardian went to Earth 1. Out of all the Supergirl heroes, the character they chose to bring with Supergirl to Earth 1 was Alex Danvers. Now, I don't dislike Alex or anything, but the fact that she was in the crossover, but John Jones and Superman weren't, is a little aggravating.
Did you really think I would hand you a loaded weapon before verify who you are?
Number 2 is make Quentin Lance of Earth X the Fuhrer of Earth X instead of Dark Arrow. This is something I've said a lot, but Paul Blackthorne knocked it out of the park in his performance as a Nazi. Stephen Amell, not so much. Melissa Benoist also not so much. Like I said earlier, they made them too sympathetic, and they just didn't pull off being evil that well. But Paul Blackthorne actually 100% knocked it out of the park. So it would have been so cool if he was the Fuhrer behind the scenes. Like, basically, I've said this before. I've mentioned this a lot, that I think that Quentin Lance should have been the main villain of the crossover, is that Quentin Lance will basically be the Palpatine of this, so he's behind the scenes. He's not the villain we see the most. He is the main villain, but we see Dark Arrow and Overgirl and Reverse Flash more because they are like the Darth Vaders of this version. So they are the 3 Darth Vaders, and Quentin Lance would basically be the Palpatine behind the scenes. He's the main villain, but not the villain we see the most. Now, this is something that I get why they didn't do, just because there's no way they would have known that Paul Blackthorne would be so great as a Nazi before filming the crossover, and by then, there's no way they would change the script, but in hindsight, it would have been awesome.
Wonderful. Well, then I pronounce you both...
Wait, just 1 second.
Number 1 is get rid of the entire last scene. Like, entirely. The crossover was going relatively well despite the villains being subpar, and there being too much drama. It was still a pretty awesome crossover, and the Legends of Tomorrow episode was overall going great. It was the best episode out of all of them, like by far, until the last scene. And the last scene almost completely ruined the episode for me. It made the episode just a little bit worse because it left a bad taste in my mouth. The episode ended, and I just felt bad. I felt there was a bad taste in my mouth, and I was not satisfied with the episode because of that last scene. So I would just completely get rid of it, or at least change it up a little bit, so just Iris and Barry are getting married, so John is about to say, like, kiss your bride or something, and right before Felicity interrupts, the episode ends. So, like that, we know that Iris and Barry officially got married, and then we're good. Felicity never interrupts. They don't get married, or at least if they're going to have to get married, then just get married in episode 9, where they had a wedding anyway, so it doesn't really matter. This last scene was ridiculous. And by ridiculous, I mean ridiculously bad, because after she does interrupt, the crossover becomes so much worse than it could have been, and it was just like 1 or 2 minutes. It's insane. It's really that bad that just 1 or 2 minutes completely ruin the entire scene, completely ruin like a lot of the crossover. It makes that one half of a scene makes the crossover worse than it could have been, and that's insane. So those are the top 5 things I would change about Crisis on Earth X. What would you change? Do you agree with any of my choices? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.